I don't know when it happened. One moment, Sarah and I were planning our future together. The next, I was left standing on the edge of a life I thought I knew, shattered by her absence. I'm sorry, Michael. It's not you, it's me, Sarah said, her voice shaking as she stepped back from me. I stared at her, numb. What are you talking about? My voice cracked, betraying the calm I tried so hard to maintain. She hesitated, eyes flicking to the ground before meeting my gaze again. There's someone else. I took a step back, feeling the cold creep into my bones.
Else?
Someone else? I couldn't believe the words coming out of my own mouth. What the hell do you mean by that? We've been together for 5 years. I never meant for it to happen, but it's James. He's a billionaire, Michael. He can give me everything I can't have with you. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. That's it? You're just going to walk away from everything we built for money? She didn't answer. Sarah, please, I pleaded, taking a step toward her, desperate. You can't be serious. We've talked about our future, about marriage, kids. How can you throw all of that away for him? Her lip quivered, but she shook her head. I'm sorry, Michael. I have to go. She turned away, her back to me as she walked out the door. I stood there, frozen, as the door slammed shut behind her. The reality of what had just happened settled in like a heavy weight. I couldn't breathe. She was gone. I'd never felt more alone. For hours I couldn't move, couldn't think. I just sat in the silence of our apartment, the place that had once felt like home now, suffocating me. The life I had planned, the future I had dreamed of, vanished in the blink of an eye. I kept asking myself why. How could she do this? How could she leave me for someone else? Someone who didn't love her the way I did. I picked up my phone, half hoping she'd call, but the screen remained dark. No message, no apology, just silence. I could feel the anger building, the hurt turning into rage. But then the anger faded, and something else took its place. Something darker. I couldn't believe it. She had left me for someone else. She'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. Why? I whispered, the question hanging in the air. It wasn't just about the money, I realized. It was the lie. The way she had looked me in the eye, told me she loved me, and then walked away without a second thought. She hadn't been honest with me, not really. I had trusted her with everything. And now she was gone. The betrayal stung, but worse than that was the feeling of being worthless. Sarah had chosen him over me. I couldn't help but wonder if I had ever been enough for her. The phone vibrated in my hand and I stared at the screen. A message from her. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I hope one day you can understand. I felt a lump form in my throat. The words meant nothing. The damage was done. I erased the message without replying, and that was it. The end. I lay on the couch for hours, replaying everything: our first date, our trips, the laughs we shared, the future we had planned together. It all seemed so far away now, like it was all just a dream. The reality hit harder than I expected. I had lost her. But I wasn't going to let this destroy me. No, I wasn't that weak. If she could leave me for a billionaire, I would show her that I could become something more than I was. Something stronger. But for now, all I felt was the sting of betrayal, the hollow ache in my chest. The pain of losing someone I thought would always be there. I didn't know how I would move on from this. But one thing was clear. I would never be the same. I didn't know how to move on. It felt impossible. Every corner of my apartment screamed Sarah. From the coffee cup we shared every morning to the photos we took on vacations that now felt like a lifetime ago. I tried to push her out of my mind, but the anger kept creeping back in, overwhelming me. I slammed the door shut after coming home from another long, useless day at work. My hands were shaking, but it wasn't from exhaustion. It was the anger, the rage that had become a constant companion. Damn it, Sarah, I muttered, slamming my bag onto the couch. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. I ignored it at first, but after a few seconds I picked it up. It was a message from Tom, my oldest friend. You good? I ran my hand through my hair, frustrated. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. It's not anymore. I needed to talk. I needed to unload. So I typed a quick reply. No, not really. Can we talk? Within seconds, Tom replied. I'm on my way. I paced the room, trying to find a way to calm my mind. The anger was like a storm, swirling inside me, ready to explode at any moment, but I had to hold it together. Tom would be here soon. When he finally arrived, he didn't waste time. "You look like hell," Tom said, walking into my living room. I managed a half-hearted chuckle. "I feel like hell too." He dropped onto the couch, looking at me with a mix of concern and understanding. "Talk to me, man." I clenched my fists. She left me for him. It's for James. I still can't get my head around it. 5 years, Tom. 5 years, and just like that, ... just like that, she's gone, Tom finished for me. I get it. But you can't keep doing this to yourself. You need to let it go. I don't know how to let it go, Tom. Every time I think about it, I feel like I'm drowning in it. She betrayed me. She lied. Now she's gone to him. What does that say about me? My voice cracked, the frustration boiling over. Tom leaned forward, his eyes locking onto mine. "It says you trusted her. It says you loved her. And now you're going to have to figure out how to move forward. Because if you don't, you're going to let this eat you alive." I stood up, pacing again. I can't just move on. I feel like a fool. Like I wasn't enough. Like I didn't matter. I want revenge. I want her to feel the pain I'm feeling. I want to make them both suffer. Tom's expression didn't change. Just sat there, watching me, waiting for me to calm down. After a long silence, he spoke again, his tone quiet but firm. "Revenge won't fix this, Michael. It's just going to make it worse. You think hurting her back will bring you peace? But it won't. Trust me, I've been there." He leaned back in the chair. "You've got to focus on yourself. You've got to let this out. But don't let it control you." I threw myself down into the chair across from him. I don't know how. I've lost everything. The life I thought I had is gone. She's gone, and I'm just here, stuck in this damn mess. What do I do now? Tom's face softened. "You do what you've always done. Keep going. You've got a career. You've got a future. Don't throw it all away because of her. You're better than this." I let out a long, ragged breath, but I don't feel better. I don't feel anything but anger. "That's because you're not looking at the bigger picture," Tom said. "You're not the guy you were last week. You're stronger than that. I know you." I shook my head, feeling the weight of everything. "I don't know anymore, Tom. I don't even know who I am without her." He sighed. "It's okay to not have all the answers right now. But you can't let this define you. You've got more in you than just this pain. Don't forget that." I was quiet for a long time, my thoughts racing. Tom's words settled in, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. It was like a shadow that hung over me, blocking the sunlight. "You're right," I muttered after a long silence. "I need to focus on something else. I need to stop letting her control my mind. But it's hard, you know. Everything reminds me of her." Tom stood up, clapping me on the shoulder. "It's going to be tough. But you've got me, and you've got yourself. You'll get through this." I nodded, still unsure of how to begin moving forward. But Tom was right. I couldn't keep letting this consume me. I had to take control. You've got to get your head in the game, man. Life goes on, and you've got things to do. I ran a hand through my hair, still feeling lost. At least now, I knew I wasn't alone. I threw myself into work like I never had before. Every morning, I woke up earlier, stayed later, and pushed myself harder. I wasn't going to let Sarah's betrayal define me. I was going to show her that I was more than just the guy she left behind. "Michael, you've been grinding nonstop for weeks," Tom said. His voice laced with concern as he looked at me from across the bar. "You need to take a break, man." I shook my head, tapping the rim of my glass. "I don't have time for breaks. I've got things to prove." Tom leaned back, studying me. "To her?" "No," I said quickly, but the anger in my voice betrayed my words. "To myself. I need to show that I'm not some failure. I'm going to be someone, and I'm going to do it without her." Tom stared at me, his silence speaking louder than anything else. I wasn't sure what he was thinking, but I didn't care. Couldn't afford distractions, not even from him. Work became my obsession. Every deal, every project, every meeting, it all mattered now more than ever. I was determined to prove I could make it, even if I had to claw my way to the top. "Have you thought about networking more? Getting in touch with some of the right people?" Tom suggested one day, trying to break through the wall I'd built around myself. "I'm not here to make friends," I snapped, the edge of my voice sharper than I intended. "I'm here to win. That's all that matters now." The days blurred together. I watched as my career started to pick up steam. My boss took notice of my hard work, and soon enough, I was being handed more responsibilities, more opportunities. But with every small success, there was a hollow emptiness inside me. The more I achieved, the less it felt like victory. I still saw Sarah's face in every corner of my mind. I heard her voice when I was alone, asking me if I was okay, telling me how sorry she was. It didn't matter. I didn't care about her apology anymore. What I cared about was making sure I wasn't the same guy who had let her walk all over me. "Michael, you're killing it," my manager Greg said one afternoon. "This new project is a big one. You're the guy for it. The promotion is yours if you keep up this pace." I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "Thanks, I won't let you down." But deep down, I knew the promotion wasn't what I wanted. It was just another step in proving that I could be successful without anyone's help. I didn't need her. I didn't need anyone. Tom kept trying to reach out, but I was too focused on the grind to care. "You've changed, Mike," he said one evening when I didn't pick up his call. "This isn't you. You're shutting everyone out." "I'm fine," I replied tersely over text. "I've got work to do, but I wasn't fine. Not really." The anger that drove me had started to lose its edge. It wasn't about proving something to Sarah anymore. It was about proving something to the world. And to myself. But with every success, I felt more empty, more disconnected. "Michael, we're celebrating tonight," Greg said the next day after the big deal went through. "You've earned this." I looked at him, not feeling the excitement the way I thought I should. "I'm good," I said, shaking my head. "I've got some things to take care of. Don't let this chance slip by." "You've been working hard. Enjoy the reward," he insisted. I could hear Tom's voice in the back of my head, but I ignored it. I wasn't going to get lost in distractions. I couldn't afford it. But despite all the career progress, the relentless drive, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was hollow. I'd built a career. I'd built success. But I hadn't built happiness. I wasn't sure what I was doing anymore. I wasn't sure where the anger had gone, or why the victories didn't feel like they should. There was a point where all of it, the work, the revenge, the ambition, had become just a means to fill the emptiness. But the emptiness was still there. I had proven that I could be successful, that I could rise above the pain. But I was still that guy, the one who had been left behind, the one who would never get the answers he needed. I glanced at the mirror in the bathroom, staring at my reflection. I had built something. But what was it worth if I wasn't even sure who I was anymore? The question haunted me as I stepped back into the world I had created. The phone rang. I stared at the screen, hesitant to answer. It was Sarah. I hadn't heard from her since she walked out of my life, but now, here she was, trying to reach out. Part of me wanted to ignore it, leave it unanswered, like I had done with so many other things in my life. But the other part of me, the part that had once loved her, was still there, lingering, waiting for something that could give me closure. I hit the green button before I could change my mind. "Michael." Her voice was quiet, tentative. "Sarah," I said, my tone flat. "What's going on?" She hesitated, then continued. "I know it's been a while, and I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed to say something." I clenched my fists, trying to hold back the rush of emotions that were flooding through me. I had been angry for so long, but hearing her voice again was like opening an old wound. "What could you possibly have to say?" she sighed, and I could hear the emotion in her voice. "I've made a huge mistake, Michael. I regret everything. Leaving you, choosing him." I felt my chest tighten, but I kept my voice steady. "Why are you calling me now, Sarah? After everything you did?" I couldn't keep living with the guilt. I've been thinking about it every day since I left. James isn't who I thought he was. He lied to me. He mistreated me, Michael. I should have never walked away from you. I was so selfish. I leaned back against the couch, trying to process her words. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to tell her how much she had hurt me. But another part of me, the part that had once trusted her, was listening, hoping she meant what she was saying. "I never wanted to hurt you," she continued, her voice cracking. "I thought I was doing the right thing, but now I see how wrong I was. I just... ... I need you to know how sorry I am. I can't change the past, but I'm so sorry for everything." I closed my eyes, fighting the flood of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. "Sarah, you can't just come back into my life and expect everything to be okay. You can't erase what you did, I know. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I need you to understand that I regret it. I've been so miserable without you. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. You think you can just say you're sorry and everything will go back to normal? It doesn't work like that. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I just needed to tell you the truth. I was silent for a long moment, processing everything she'd said. My mind raced, and I could feel the anger bubbling up inside me again. The betrayal, the lies, the way she had walked away without a second thought. But then, I also heard her pain, her regret. She wasn't the same person she had been when she left me. But did that matter? Was I supposed to just forget what had happened? I don't know what you want from me, Sarah, I said, my voice strained. You left me for him. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. I stopped myself, running a hand through my hair. Can't just pretend like that didn't happen. I don't expect you to. I don't expect anything from you, she said quickly. I just needed you to know the truth. I don't want to be with him anymore, Michael. I just can't keep pretending everything's okay when it's not. I've lost you, and I can't change that. But I needed to apologize. I leaned my head back, closing my eyes. I wanted to yell at her, to tell her that she didn't deserve my forgiveness. But I didn't. Instead, I took a deep breath. I don't know if I can forgive you, Sarah. I'm still angry. I'm still hurt. I understand. Her voice was barely above a whisper. But if you ever can find it in your heart to forgive me, I'd be forever grateful. I sat there in silence for a moment, the weight of everything pressing down on me. I wanted to say something, to offer her something, anything that would make this all feel like it wasn't in vain. But the truth was, I wasn't sure what I wanted from her. I wasn't sure if I even wanted her back. I have to go, Sarah, I said, my voice low. I need time. I don't know what's going to happen, but right now I just ... I need to figure things out. I understand, she replied softly. I'm sorry, Michael. I really am. I didn't say anything else. I hung up the phone, staring at it for a long time after the call ended. Sarah's words echoed in my mind, but they didn't bring the closure I thought they would. I wasn't sure if I was even capable of forgiving her. But the weight of her regret, the vulnerability in her voice, had left me with a strange, conflicted feeling. I was still angry, but a small part of me couldn't help but wonder if maybe ... just maybe, this could be the first step toward healing. But then again, maybe I was just fooling myself. The message from Sarah lingered in my phone like an unwelcome reminder. Every time I glanced at it, a storm brewed inside me. I'm sorry, Michael. I need you to understand. The words echoed in my mind, pulling me back into that moment when she left, when everything fell apart. I should have ignored her. I should have let the anger consume me, kept pushing forward with the plan to prove I didn't need her. But the truth was, I was torn. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to push her as far away as possible and bury the pain with work and ambition. But her apology, it wasn't just words. It was real. It hit me in a way I wasn't ready for. Are you going to answer her or what? Tom asked, his voice cutting through my thoughts. We were sitting at a bar and I was nursing my drink, staring at my phone like it held the answers to everything. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I just stared at the screen. Tom leaned in, his eyes narrowing as he watched me. Dude, what's going on? I've never seen you like this. You've been all over the place lately. I don't know, man, I muttered, my voice tight. She called me today, ... apologizing, and I don't know what to do with it. Tom raised an eyebrow. She's your ex. You've moved on, right? I clenched my jaw. Yeah, but I don't know if I ever really did. I still feel ... all of it. The anger, the hurt. And now she's saying she regrets it, but how do I just forget everything? Tom sighed, leaning back in his chair. Look, I get it. She hurt you. She left you for a guy with more money, more power. But if she's genuinely sorry, if she's actually changed, maybe you should think about it. I'm not saying go back to her, but maybe you owe it to yourself to at least hear her out. I shook my head, frustration bubbling to the surface. I've already heard enough, Tom. She left me for him. She chose him. Now what? She regrets it. What about me? About everything we had? My hands gripped the edge of the table, the fury rising again. You're right. She messed up, Tom said, his voice calm. But you're not the same guy you were back then. You've built yourself up. You've made something of yourself. Don't let her pull you back into that mess. I'm not going back to her, I snapped. I'm just ... I don't know if I can just let her off the hook. She screwed me over, Tom. I can't forget that. Tom gave me a long look, his face softening. You don't have to forgive her, Mike, but don't let this anger keep eating you alive. You've got bigger things to focus on now. Revenge is a hell of a drug, but it'll never bring you peace. His words hit harder than I expected. I had been so consumed by this desire to make her feel what I felt to make James' path. I hadn't even thought about what it was doing to me. Every victory in my career, every deal I made, was nothing but a distraction. I was building my empire on the ashes of my past. But I wasn't happy. Revenge, I realized, wasn't going to fix that. Maybe you're right, I muttered, more to myself than to Tom. But that doesn't mean I'm ready to let her back in. I don't even know if I want to forgive her. Tom raised his glass. Then don't forgive her. Do it for yourself, not for her. But don't let her keep you stuck in the past. I picked up my own drink, staring into it, the bitterness of it matching the bitterness inside me. The choice was in my hands. I could hold on to the anger, continue on this path of revenge, or I could let go. But letting go felt like losing. I wasn't sure I could afford to lose anymore. I'm going to text her, I said quietly, more to myself than anyone else. Tom gave me a sharp look. Are you sure about this? You're not just doing it to hurt her, right? I met his eyes. No, I'm not doing it to hurt her. Just need to make sure I'm not doing this for the wrong reasons. I need to decide what I want, not what she wants. I pulled out my phone, my fingers hovering over the screen. The message from her was still there. I'm sorry, Michael. I need you to understand. I could feel the weight of it, the weight of her apology hanging over me. But what was it worth? What was any of this worth? Was I just supposed to accept her regret and pretend everything would be okay? Or was I supposed to walk away, leave her behind, and move on once and for all? I typed the message quickly, not giving myself time to second-guess it. I hear you. But I can't just forget what you did. I don't know what this means, but I need more time. I hit send before I could change my mind. Tom watched me as I put the phone down. There it is. You made the choice. I'll let it go. Got it, go. But even as I said it, I knew the choice wasn't so simple. The first cracks in James' empire were subtle. A few bad investments, a couple of shady deals that slipped under the radar. But I noticed I'd been watching him for months now, and it wasn't just business I wanted to see him fall. I needed him to feel what I felt, the betrayal, the humiliation. I needed him to understand that no one walks away from me unscathed. I hadn't expected it to be this easy, though. James was arrogant, too arrogant for his own good. He never saw me coming. Have you seen the numbers, Mike? Greg, my boss, asked one morning, his eyes wide with surprise as he scrolled through the data on his tablet. James' company is losing millions. People are starting to pull their investments. I leaned forward, a grin creeping up my face. Is that so? I took a sip of my coffee, pretending to be surprised. I thought he was invincible. Greg chuckled nervously. Looked like even the mighty can fall. The satisfaction that filled me was almost too much to handle. Oh, James. The man who had stolen Sarah from me, the man who had everything I thought I wanted, was crumbling. And I was the one watching from the sidelines, waiting for the final collapse. You know, I've been keeping tabs on him, I said casually, tapping my finger against the edge of my mug. Seems like he's in deeper than we thought. It's not just bad investments. He's been hiding things, shady business deals, questionable connections. Greg raised an eyebrow. What are you getting at? I think we can use this, I said, my voice low. I think it's time for his fall. It felt like fate had handed me the perfect opportunity. I had worked hard building up my career, making the right connections, and now I could finally use that leverage. It wasn't just about getting back at James anymore. It was about showing everyone that I was better than he was, smarter, more capable. I could bring him down, and they'd see who really deserved to be at the top. I don't know, man, Greg said, his voice laced with hesitation. You're talking about going after him with everything you've got? And why not? I replied, my tone sharp. He deserves it. He ruined everything. He took something that wasn't his. And now he's going to pay. Greg didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, he sighed. Just be careful, Mike. Don't get too carried away. But I wasn't listening anymore. The anger was bubbling up again, stronger than ever. I had control now. It wasn't just about Sarah. It was about everything he had taken from me, from the way he'd stolen Sarah's love to the way he had tried to ruin me without even knowing it. I spent the next few weeks working behind the scenes, digging into every part of James' business. The more I uncovered, the more I realized how much power I had over him. He was vulnerable, and I could exploit it. Every secret he had hidden, every deal he had manipulated, I was ready to expose it all. One evening, as I was sitting at my desk, a message popped up on my computer screen. It was from a source I had cultivated within James' company, someone who had grown tired of his lies. "I have everything you need. If you want to take him down, this is the moment." My heart raced. I read through the documents quickly: mails, contracts, evidence of illegal transactions, and I felt a cold satisfaction spread through me. I had him. He was done. I couldn't help but laugh. It wasn't a loud laugh. It was quiet, but it carried the weight of everything I had been feeling. The years of hurt, the betrayal, the pain, it was all coming to a head now. When it was over, when James was finished, I would finally be able to breathe again. The next few days were a blur. I made my move, strategically leaking information to the right people, ensuring James couldn't cover his tracks. Slowly but surely, his empire began to crumble. His investors pulled out. His associates distanced themselves. Soon the news outlets were picking up on the scandals. I watched it unfold with a sick sense of satisfaction. James had spent years building his empire on lies and manipulation. It was all coming apart at the seams. But as the days passed, the satisfaction I felt began to feel empty. The more I watched him fall, the more I realized that it didn't make me feel better. It didn't fix anything. James might be losing everything, but it didn't change what I had lost. The pain was still there, the emptiness, the loneliness. I couldn't let it go. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It had become a part of me. But that realization hit me hard. Was this really who I had become? Someone so consumed by hate and bitterness that I couldn't even enjoy the victory I had worked so hard for? As James' downfall continued, I found myself staring at the screen, numb. I had destroyed him, but in doing so, I realized I was destroying myself too. The anger had been my fuel.
Ow.
But now it felt like the fire was burning me from the inside out. The day had finally come. James was finished. I had done what I set out to do. I had dismantled everything he built piece by piece until there was nothing left but rubble. And now it was time to confront him. I walked into his office with purpose, my steps deliberate. The silence in the room felt thick, charged with the weight of everything that had led to this moment. I hadn't been here in months, and yet it felt strangely familiar. It almost felt like I was reclaiming something that had been taken from me. James looked up from his desk when I entered. His face twisted into an expression of confusion at first, but then recognition hit. He stood up, trying to mask his unease. "Michael," he said, his voice cold but controlled, "what are you doing here?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I watched him for a moment. It was still the same arrogant, dismissive, as if he were untouchable. It was sickening. He had once been the man I wanted to be. Now, I was standing here, holding all the cards. "You know exactly why I'm here," I said, my voice calm, but carrying the weight of everything I'd been holding inside. "I've made sure the whole world knows the truth about you, James. All of it. The shady deals, the lies, the manipulations. It's over." His face turned pale, took a step back, but then his pride took over. "You think you can bring me down with some documents and rumors? You have no idea what you're dealing with." I didn't flinch. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. You're a fraud, James. You built your empire on lies, and now it's all coming crashing down. Never thought someone would come for you, did you?" His expression twisted in anger, but I could see the fear beneath it. He was losing control, and he knew it. He had never had to fight for anything before everything had been handed to him. He was being exposed, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "I don't care what you think you have on me," he spat. "I'll destroy you. You're nothing. You always were. Just a pathetic little man who couldn't even keep the woman he loved." My hands clenched into fists, but I didn't let the anger take over. Not this time. I had learned to control it, to use it. This wasn't about Sarah anymore. This was about me taking control of my life, of my future. "I'm not the same man you knew, James," I said, stepping closer. "You underestimated me. You thought you could walk all over me, manipulate everyone around you. But now it's your turn. You're the one who's going to pay for everything you've done." He stepped forward, trying to act tough, but I could see the cracks in his facade. "You think you've won? You think this is your victory? I'll be fine. You'll be nothing. We'll fade into obscurity like everyone else." I leaned in, my voice low and steady. "I already have everything I need, James. I have the truth. And that's more than you ever had. The world is going to know who you really are. You're not invincible. You're just a man who got too greedy." I could see the panic in his eyes now, and it was almost satisfying. The man who had once held so much power was unraveling before me. His empire, his wealth, his influence, all of it was slipping through his fingers. He had used people, including me, and now it was time for him to face the consequences. "You've lost, James," I said, taking a step back. "And I'm going to make sure everyone knows it." He opened his mouth to say something, but I cut him off. "No more lies. No more manipulation. It's over." As I turned to leave, I felt a strange calm wash over me. The vindication was there, but it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. James had fallen. I had done what I set out to do, but the anger that had driven me for so long was gone, replaced by something else. A deep emptiness. It wasn't about James anymore. It never really had been. It had always been about proving something to myself. And now that I had done it, I wasn't sure what was left. I walked out of his office, my mind spinning. I had won, but the victory felt hollow. I had gained control, but I had lost something along the way. I wasn't sure what to expect when I saw Sarah's name pop up on my phone again. After everything that had happened, after all the lies, the betrayal, I thought I had put her behind me. But when I saw her name flash on the screen, something stirred in me, something I couldn't quite explain. I hesitated, but then I answered. "Michael." Her voice was softer this time, more fragile. It made something tighten in my chest. "Can we talk?" I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. "What's there to talk about, Sarah?" "You've already said everything you needed to say." She paused, and I could hear her taking a deep breath. "I know I've made a mess of everything. I know I don't deserve any of your time, but I've been thinking a lot. I need you to know how sorry I am." I could feel my heart rate pick up, but I kept my voice steady. "Sorry? You think that's enough? After everything?" "I know it's not. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I just ... I want you to know that I regret everything. I was selfish. I hurt you, and I can't take that back." I exhaled sharply. "Can't, Sarah? You can't just say sorry and expect everything to go back to the way it was?" "I don't expect that," she replied quickly. "I know I can't undo what I did, but I need you to understand. I was blinded by so many things. I thought I was making the right choice, but I was wrong. I've lost everything myself, and now you. I've been so miserable without you." I ran a hand through my hair. "Why now? Why come to me now, after everything's already fallen apart?" "I don't know," she said, her voice breaking. "I guess I thought I could move on. But I can't. Every day feels like a mistake, and I need to make amends. Even if that means you never forgive me. I just need you to know how deeply sorry I am." Her words hit me harder than I expected. I'd spent so much time being angry, so much time holding on to the pain, that I never stopped to think about her side of it. But now, as I listened to the regret in her voice, I wasn't sure how to feel. Part of me wanted to yell at her, tell her how much she had destroyed me, but another part of me understood her pain. I could see it in her voice, in her words. She had lost something too. "You're right," I said slowly. "You can't undo what you did. I can't just forget it. I can't forget how you walked away from me, how you chose him over everything we had. You don't get to come back from that." "I know," she whispered. "I don't deserve to be in your life anymore. I just ... I needed you to know how sorry I am, that I see what I've done now. I was wrong." I was quiet for a long time, letting her words sink in. "I've moved on, Sarah. I'm not the same guy I was when we were together. I've changed. And I don't think I can go back to the person I was before." "I understand," she said, her voice barely audible. "I'm not asking you to go back. I just wanted you to hear me. I'm so sorry." I could hear the tears in her voice now, but I didn't feel anything. I should have felt something, sadness, maybe, or anger, but I didn't. I felt ... empty. All this time, I had been holding on to this rage. But now that it was gone, I wasn't sure what was left. Look, Sarah, I said, my voice firm. I've forgiven you. I can't keep holding on to this anger. But that doesn't mean I want to go back to what we had. I'm not the same person, and I don't think you are either. Can't just pretend like nothing happened. I don't want to go back, Michael, she replied softly. I need to make things right. I need to live with the fact that I lost you, and I can't change it. The silence between us felt heavy. I wasn't sure what else to say. I had forgiven her in my heart, but I wasn't going to let her back into my life. I couldn't. I had to move forward, and I couldn't do that if I kept holding on to the past. I've let you go, Sarah, I said, my voice steady, and I'm not going back. I can't. I understand, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'll never stop regretting it. I know, I said, my voice softer now, but you've got to let go too. There was a long pause before she spoke again. Goodbye, Michael. I hope you find happiness. Goodbye, Sarah, I replied, then hung up the phone. I sat there for a moment, the weight of the conversation sinking in. It wasn't a victory, it wasn't a defeat. It was just ... the end. And I was finally ready to move on. I hadn't expected much from the charity event I was dragged to by Tom. It was one of those things where he insisted it would be good for my meeting people, getting out, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't interested. But as usual, I went along, not wanting to hear the end of it. And that's when I met her. I was standing by the bar nursing a drink, trying to keep to myself when she walked in. Rebecca. She wasn't anything like Sarah, thank God for that. She wasn't trying to impress anyone or wear her confidence like armor. She was just ... real. She caught me staring and gave me a small, knowing smile. You look like you're trying to escape the conversation, she said, stepping up beside me, her voice soft but direct. I glanced at her, surprised. You too, I replied, smiling slightly. I'm not much for these kinds of things. She chuckled, her eyes twinkling. I wasn't really here by choice, but I figured I could use it as an opportunity to meet new people. Not everyone at these events has bad intentions. I raised an eyebrow. You seem like you're not here to network. What's your game? She smiled, leaning against the bar casually. I'm not. I'm just ... figuring things out, taking a step back from the usual. Sometimes we need to meet people who don't know our story, right? It hit me. There was something refreshing about her. She wasn't trying to impress me or anyone else. She didn't seem to care about what I had or hadn't done. She was just ... living in the moment. I found myself talking to her longer than I planned, and somehow I found myself opening up in a way I hadn't done in months. We talked about everything from life to career to love. Rebecca wasn't someone who asked probing questions or gave unsolicited advice. She just listened, and that made all the difference. By the end of the evening, I felt a shift in me. Something had changed in the way I saw the world. I hadn't realized it, but Rebecca had made me feel like I mattered outside of the pain, the revenge and the anger I had held on to for so long. Thank you, I said, as we stood outside, the night air cool against my skin. For tonight, I didn't think I'd end up talking to anyone, let alone like this. She smiled again, her eyes warm. Sometimes we need people to remind us that there's more to life than the weight we carry. I paused, considering her words. I've been carrying a lot of weight, Rebecca. Anger, regret. And I guess I just didn't know how to let go of it. She nodded knowingly. It's hard. But the first step is realizing that holding on to it only weighs you down more. You don't have to live in the past, Michael. You're allowed to move forward. I wasn't sure why, but for the first time in a long time, I felt the tiniest crack in the wall I'd built around myself. It wasn't a complete breakthrough, but it was something. Something real. You know, I've been so focused on everything I lost, I said, my voice low, that I forgot to see what I still have, what I can still build. Rebecca gave me a soft smile, placing a hand on my shoulder. Exactly. You're not defined by your past. You're not defined by the mistakes or the pain. You're defined by what you do next. It wasn't a magical fix, and I knew that. But for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. Hope that maybe there was something more for me. Maybe, just maybe, there was a future waiting for me that wasn't shaped by revenge or regret. I think I'm finally ready to let go, I said, the words surprising me as they left my mouth. I don't want to keep living in the shadows of my past. Rebecca's smile deepened, and for the first time, I saw myself as something more than the angry hurt man I had been for so long. Maybe this was what I had been missing, someone who didn't need me to be perfect, but who helped me see that I could be better. "I'm glad to hear that," she said softly. "You deserve more than to be stuck in the past, Michael. You deserve to build something that's yours, something that makes you happy." I nodded, my chest lighter than it had been in months. Maybe the path forward wouldn't be easy. Maybe there would still be moments of doubt and pain. But for the first time I could see it. New beginning, a chance to live without the weight of the past holding me down. Rebecca had given me something invaluable, hope, and in that moment I realized that maybe I could finally move on, for good. I stood by the window, looking out at the city below. It was early morning, the sun just starting to rise, casting a soft glow over everything. I had come a long way since that first night Sarah left. The anger, the bitterness, they still lingered, but they no longer controlled me. I had learned to live with them, and somewhere along the way, I had found something else: peace. I had spent months consumed by the idea of revenge, convinced that taking James down would somehow fill the hole Sarah had left in my life. But now, as I stood here, I realized that it wasn't James or Sarah who had caused the pain. It was me, for holding on to it for so long. The phone buzzed on the table beside me, pulling me from my thoughts. I reached for it, not surprised to see the message from Tom. "How are you doing, man?" I smiled to myself, typing a quick reply. "Better than I've been in a long time." Tom had been my rock through all of this. He was the one who had reminded me that I wasn't defined by my past, that I had the power to choose who I wanted to be. And somehow, over the months, I had started to believe him. The past still haunted me, but it no longer defined me. I had learned to forgive not just Sarah, but myself. The things I had done, the decisions I had made, they were part of who I was. But they didn't have to dictate the rest of my life. I sat down at my desk, pulling out the letter I had written to myself months ago, the one that had started everything. The one I had written out of pain and anger. It's the one that had been my final goodbye to Sarah. I read through it again, noticing the difference in the tone of my words now. Oh, there was no more rage in my voice, no more accusations. Just a calm acceptance of the truth. "I've finally let you go," I wrote, the words coming easily now, and I've let myself go too. The past was behind me. I had made peace with the things I couldn't change. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. As the day went on, I reflected on everything I had been through, the heartbreak, the anger, the revenge. It had all led me here, to a place where I didn't need to fight anymore, where I didn't need to prove myself to anyone, not to Sarah, not to James, not even to myself. I had already won. I had survived. When the knock on the door came, I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it to find Rebecca standing there, her smile warm as always. "Hey," she said, her voice soft. "Got a minute?" I stepped aside to let her in, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. "Of course. What's up?" She glanced around, taking in the place before looking back at me. "I've been thinking a lot lately, about everything, about you, and I just wanted to say thank you." I raised an eyebrow, confused. "For what?" "For showing me that there's more to life than holding on to pain," she said, her voice sincere.
God, you've taught me so much, Michael. Hope you know that.
I smiled, a genuine smile. "I think I've learned more from you than you know." Rebecca looked at me, her eyes filled with something I hadn't expected: respect, maybe even admiration. "I think you've finally found peace." I nodded slowly. "I have. It's not perfect, but it's mine." We stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. There was no tension between us, no need for words. I had moved on from the past, and I was ready to see what the future held. I wasn't perfect, but I was learning to be okay with that. I was learning to live for me. "I'll see you soon, right?" she asked, breaking the silence. "Yeah," I replied, smiling. "I think I'm finally ready to start something new." For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of what came next.